Hello again. Welcome back to this Ask the Vet Facebook Live hosted by Spay Neuter Network. I'm the vet, Dr. Bowden. Make sure to like Spay Neuter Network's Facebook page if you don't already. And go ahead and ask me any animal medical related questions that you might have. And while I wait for some questions to roll in, I did receive two questions prior to this. And they're very timely for the holidays. So I got the questions: should I be concerned about my cat eating wrapping paper and artificial pine needles? And how would I know if something gets stuck in her insides? So I can empathize with you, question asker. My cat is eating all the tissue paper that she can get her little paws on. And eating either of those can cause cats to vomit or have GI upset. With artificial pine needles, if she's just chewing on them, that's probably okay as long as she's not ingesting them, swallowing them. But if she is, then I'd expect to see vomiting. And then there's the potential that something gets stuck, like you said, which is called a foreign body. So if you suspect your pet has a foreign body, please go to the veterinarian right away. And x-rays will likely be needed to determine if surgery is required or not. And if you're worried about anything your pet's ingesting, try to keep it out of reach as much as possible. Same goes for dogs. And so, on that note, holiday season's here. So this can increase the risk of your pet ingesting plenty of things that they shouldn't. And there's also an increased risk of escaping and anxiety. So if your cat chewed on a poinsettia or if your dog got a hold of all the Christmas fudge, call ASPCA Poison Control and they should be able to guide you if you're worried about what your pet ate. And then also you can visit your local emergency clinic for treatment, which they might have you call Poison Control as well. Make sure your pet's microchip information's up to date. And then often there's fireworks on New Year's Eve. So if that causes your pet anxiety, try to get an appointment now with their vet to get them on some medication for that and to decrease the stress. So, Bonnie, you read my mind. I see over here, Bonnie said, please tell us about the new URI that is spreading through North Texas. Is there a vaccine and what can we do? That's actually what I wanted to talk about because it's flu season, not just for humans, but also for our dogs. We're seeing a crazy uptick in cases of canine influenza in DFW and the surrounding areas. The virus that causes flu in dogs is called canine influenza, but there's several pathogens that can cause this, and it's known as canine infectious respiratory disease complex, and it's a complex because there's several different things that can cause this. This infection is generally highly contagious. So if you're wondering what signs you might see coughing, sneezing, nasal or eye discharge, lethargy, decreased appetite. Sometimes dogs don't show any signs at all, and they can be those silent transmitters, while other dogs can be severely infected, perhaps like puppies and older dogs, those with less robust immune systems. And so these can lead to pneumonia, which would no longer be upper respiratory. It would be in their lungs, and it could require hospitalization. So usually after a dog's exposed, we see 2 to 3 days for them to start showing signs, if they're going to show signs. And so if you do see those signs, I recommend isolating your dog from all other dogs. So no visits to the dog park, PetSmart. Try to keep them away from friends' homes with other dogs while they're recovering for at least 3 weeks after they stop showing signs. And so I also recommend you make an appointment with your own vet to determine if any treatment would be beneficial. So I'm going to pop back over to Facebook and see if there's any questions. I don't see any right now, but please feel free to ask any questions that y'all might have. Okay, so I can get back into upper respiratory disease. So Okay, Helen said, when is it time to seek the vet? Yeah, it's definitely time to seek the vet if you notice excessive coughing. So, one of my friends was telling me his dog was coughing nonstop all night. And that's just really hard on the dog and really hard on the dog's people. And so, I would recommend for that if you're seeing eye or nasal discharge, and then also if they're vomiting, sometimes dogs can cough so hard they vomit. And so if they're vomiting, if they're not eating, the treatment for upper respiratory disease is usually supportive care, because these diseases are generally viruses, and so there's not a specific medication for the canine upper respiratory disease complex. So supportive care can include steroids, antibiotics, fluids, and appetite stimulants. So just like when we have the flu or cold, we want to rest, stay hydrated, and continue to take any medication that we've been prescribed. So thank you for that question, Helen. Um, and then also, just because it is highly contagious, I want to emphasize that spread can occur through the air, nose to nose contact, or the infection can be carried on objects and people. So that's why it can spread so quickly in a place like an animal shelter and a boarding facility. So if your dog is diagnosed with this, it's best to wash your hands often, and again, isolate your dog from other dogs. Um, oh, hey, David. I used to work with David at SPCA, and he's a great benefit to the rescue community. So hello. Okay, Bonnie, can cats get it from dogs? So generally speaking, no, cats cannot get canine influenza from dogs. There have been some reports of cats picking up the disease, usually when they're really closely housed with dogs who have influenza. The bigger concern is if your dog gets canine influenza, your cat could transmit it to other dogs, just because it can be on their hair coat, if they're spending a lot of time with your dogs. So, again, I'd recommend isolating them from all other animals, not just even dogs, but from your cats as well. So, that's a great question. And it's one we get a lot too, that people worry, am I going to get flu from my dog, or is my cat going to? And no, it is a species specific one. There are vaccines for canine influenza and bordetella, which are two of the pathogens that can cause this upper respiratory disease. They're not 100% at preventing disease, but if a dog has these vaccines and comes into contact with either of these organisms, their illness will likely be much less than if they hadn't had them. So if you're going to be boarding your dogs this holiday season, a lot of boarding facilities already require those vaccines, but I recommend getting both of these on board as soon as you can. So speaking of vaccines, Spay Neuter Network doesn't offer the canine influenza vaccine, but they are running a special on distemper parvo and FVRCP vaccines this month, for $10 during their wellness clinics. That doesn't apply to surgery. Okay, so I'm gonna pop back over here. Oh, so Helen said, that's why I don't take my doggies for walks anymore after the parvo exposure. Yeah, and unfortunately, the distemper parvo vaccine does prevent a lot of dogs from getting that, but they can still pick it up, especially puppies. I don't recommend getting unvaccinated puppies out and about in the world. I know it's really fun to show off our cute little puppies, but yeah, it's really hard on them when they get parvo. Um, okay, well, so if you're, I don't see any other questions at the moment. So I'm gonna let you know if you're in need of free pet food, cat litter, vaccinations, microchips. Spay Neuter Network is partnering with other local organizations to provide these in Fort Worth at the Bob Bolin Complex on December 10th. So that's coming up in 3 days. And it's from 9 to 1 this Saturday. Again, that's at the Bob Bolin Complex. Check out more details on their Facebook page, if you're interested in that. Okay, so I don't see any further questions. I do have another announcement. It's time to sorry, it's that time of year to consider end of year giving. The Spay Neuter Network Holiday Donation Campaign runs through the end of this year, December 31st. They don't only spay and neuter pets, they also provide free and affordable vaccinations and have programs to support pet owners with financial difficulty. And they help them get the support they need so their pets can stay in their home. And so please donate at spayneuternet.org. And remember that spaying and neutering your pets is a way to help fix the pet overpopulation problem. And so I'm going to pop back over. Okay, I don't see any more questions at the moment. And so if that's all for y'all, I can end this a little early. We're going to be back on January 4th. We're going to keep trying to do the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. So if you think of any medical questions, animal medical questions between now and then, let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. Oh, thanks, Helen. I hope all of you have a happy holidays as well, a happy new year, and I will see y'all in the new year. Okay, bye.